Draft Class Talk. We got Dujunnea Bland, sports journey writer, insider, and draft guru on the line. About to bring him in right now because he had the pleasure of watching most of these draft guys at the Senior Bowl. You saw the coverage that he put out there, some of the videos we shared, some of the articles he wrote, and he posted some articles on our page today that I definitely will be sharing tomorrow to some of the groups for y'all to check out in case y'all haven't already. But Dujunnea, how are you doing tonight, good sir?
Man, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. Glad to have you on, man. We had you on in a while. I know you've been busy. I know you can finally get a little bit of breather with the draft finally being over. But now you putting out all of those great articles about all the great prospects this team picked up. So I can't wait to pick your brain on these guys because I don't watch no college football. So I come to you. We was talking on draft day about some of this, well, draft night, some of the things that were going on. So let's go ahead and get into it because I see folks already tuning in and they chomping at the bit to see what's going on with this Redskins draft class. Josh, Sheila, Kenneth, what's going on? Datcher, what's up, Steven? Appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for sharing it on your page, man. All right, dude, Janae, let's go ahead and get into it. The number 15 pick. You know, we spoke about this. I was asking your opinion on Haskins. I heard some contradicting reports that his draft stock was falling and some things that were coming out about his game. So what did you think about this pick and that they set a pad at 15 and got the guy who they wanted? And what is your breakdown on Haskins out of Ohio State?
First thing I want to say is that his draft stock wasn't falling. I mean, it's just all about teams who they felt that will fit best for them. And apparently the Giants organization does an absolute horrific job in assessment. But hey, that's not for me to say. We're going to find that out. And I think we talked earlier about Daniel Jones and that deal. But I don't think that affected him. I don't think his stock was falling because of that. I just think that other teams felt that they wanted a different guy. With that said, I love Haskins' ability to be accurate in the short and intermediate game. He stands tall in the pocket. Most of the time has great footwork. Where his footwork suffers is when he has to reset off of his initial read. It's not always, he doesn't always reset and get his feet under him right away. And that's why you saw a lot of times in his college game where you saw some erratic throws and some inaccurate throws. But he makes good decisions with the football, and more often than not, he doesn't make decisions that are going to cost the football team field position, give defenses bad field position. One thing you would like to see him do is to kind of push the ball down the field a little bit when having to make those decisions and maybe try to throw some of those tight throws because he has a strong arm. And we also talked about it earlier in the season, in the offseason, about him and my thoughts of him also being a little like Byron Leftwich. And I say that in the sense of his mechanics. They aren't always accurate, but we all know with these quarterbacks when they come out of college, they have some weird quirks and things. Those inaccuracies, though, come from him having to reset a few times afterwards. The footwork fails. When the footwork fails, your accuracy in your delivery and in your throwing motion tends to fail. I said the same thing about Drew Lock. So overall, though, you got a guy that's confident. I think a lot of people, I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to see him work on a few of the shows as far as working the draft board and breaking down some of the plays where he made some touchdown throws. And he knows what he's doing. I think you have to like the fact that he goes through his progressions very well. Again, he's not an easy guy to bring down. So I like what he brings to the table. And, at 15, I know a lot of people, and I know my boy, he texted me immediately and didn't like the pick, but you have to love the pick in the sense that this team, no matter how you want to cut it, needs a quarterback. And once again, for the third straight year, some dude that you would have never thought would have been there falls right in your lap and, lands perfectly to where you can pick him up. And again, kudos to the Redskins organization, Bruce Allen being the head of that. But again, like I've said before, a lot of other guys, it's a really good group of guys that make these decisions, and they stood pat. They got their guy that they needed, and kudos to them. A great pick. And really, they had the pick of the litter, man. They could have gone anywhere, but they decided to go quarterback. So good for them.
No doubt. We were talking right before the pick, and like I said, I didn't know much about him, but it's good to, it's definitely throw some question marks out there with Alex Smith, Colt McCoy, Case Keenum, now Haskins, and Josh Johnson. So it's definitely going to be interesting at training camp. We know Alex Smith not going to be there.
Josh is not on the roster.
Say that again?
Josh is not on the roster.
Oh, he's not on the roster? Okay.
Case, no. What you have is Case.
Okay.
Colt, injured Alex Smith, and of course, Dwayne Haskins. And I'll give you. I talked to Robbie earlier today, and I'll give you. This is strictly theory, guys. This is not anything official. This is strictly my theory here. This season, I think they keep 3 quarterbacks. I've seen tweets about them getting rid of Colt McCoy. You don't get rid of a guy that knows this offense inside and out and can help your young quarterback until you absolutely, positively have to. I think it's clear. You can sit around here and dance around it all you want to. Alex ain't playing next year. I think you immediately put him on IR. Maybe you put him on the PUP list first. I don't know. But I think he's definitely going to IR. It gives you 3. Obviously, Case is a guy that has starting capabilities. Maybe you do something like they did in Cleveland, with Baker and can't even remember his name now, but he's in Charger land now. But anyway, you do something like that, and if you feel like you got to put your guy in that you drafted at 15, then you do that. But I'm firm on an open competition, and the best man wins. There's no anointing this guy because he's a number 15 starter, a number 15th pick. That has nothing to do with it. I think they've done that way too much, anointing people and not making it an open competition. And just let the best man win. I mean, this guy, if he sits a little bit, he's not going to do anything but gain. So let him sit. If necessary. If he wins out the job and could clearly beat out Case Keenum, then obviously he has to start week 1. That's how you do it. There's no ifs, ands, no cuts, drives, none of that nonsense about because you drafted him at 15, you got to start him. I don't think the Browns started anybody until they felt like, hey, man, this guy ain't cutting it, and we might as well go with the young kid at this point. So it is what it is, and I think if you go with an open competition, it looks better. And I think it's obvious that they're going to have to keep 3 quarterbacks. And with the way the quarterback situation has been over the years, I don't think it's a bad idea.
I don't think so either. I can't argue with that logic. Steven says Colton Case should start, let Haskins sit for a bit. I was saying the same thing. Let it rock and roll. Just get the, we'll get into the O-line and other stuff later because they did make some nice moves that you told me about. Let's move forward. They made a trade at the end of the first round, which caught me by surprise, but I love the pick. You told me what was coming. That's the one beautiful thing about having an insider on the show. I know stuff that happens before it happens and everybody else knows it. But they traded with the Colts for Montez Sweat. You gave this guy, 5 stars, I believe. So break down this guy and this move that the Redskins definitely need to make with Preston Smith, inconsistency gone, and Ryan Kerrigan, the only legitimate pass rusher I saw on the roster at that point.
Yeah, I was absolutely shocked. There was no indication that they were going to jump back into this second round. And this first round, they get Montez. Again, this is a guy I've been high on all season, watched him at Mississippi State. And then you have a guy sitting right there, right there, 26, man. And with this guy, he's got 4.41 speed. Do I need to say more? They can say speed kills, but, speed kills quarterbacks. And this guy is, at the Senior Bowl, showed with some of the best as far as these offensive linemen. Some of these guys, at least 2 of them, were drafted by the Redskins, he looked like a man among boys, man. I mean, and the thing about him, he's not a Bruce Smith type. Now, I will say this, with his speed, at times, with more athletic tackles, he can be pushed up the field. Now, is that consistent that happens? No. But you kind of expect that with these type of Julius Pepper type pass rushers, that occasionally they're going to get pushed up the field and away from the quarterback. But this guy has the ability, he has smooth feet, has the ability to work his way back inside, give that little jab step to kind of throw off the tackle, maybe get him leaning, and then come back inside. And we know with that 4.41 speed, he can recover pretty quickly and take the quarterback. Just like Preston Smith, he sets the edge very well. And that's something that's very important, especially when you're talking about now. You've got Reuben Foster, you've got Mason Foster, you've got, Josh Harvey Clemens. You got all these guys that are tackle machines, funnel that run game back inside to your big boys, Jonathan Allen, Jerome Payne, Settles, Ionitis of the world, and let them bottle that thing up. And that's important because I think we've seen more often than not when guys get outside on the Redskins, it wasn't good last year. Had a lot of big runs off of those types of things, but he does that well. But I like the fact that he's not a one-trick pony. And then you couple this whole thing with Ryan Kerrigan, and now you have a pretty lethal 1-2 punch out there. This guy had 14 and a half sacks in 2018. So, do we need to say more about this guy? And he's the best thing about this is he feels like he should have been taking 26 picks before, or somewhere in between. And I'm not arguing with that. I am absolutely floored that he was still there. But for Redskins Nation and for Redskins' sake, happy he was. And the Redskins made a very good decision in trading back into that first round to grab a guy who is going to really, really has the potential to take your whole entire pass rush and the whole dynamic of that front seven and change it. Because now you have a guy, unlike Preston Smith, love him, but he just never got home consistently. And I believe this guy can get home on a consistent basis and wreak havoc in opposing teams' backfields.
I agree 100% with that Preston Smith. He would always set the edge but never get home. Quick scoring update. The Nats just went up 3-0 on a 2-out double by Adam Eaton. Patrick Corbin started it with a walk with a great at-bat and getting a walk on a 12-pitch at-bat to get the first run in. And Adam Eaton just came up and hit a 2-run double to get 2 more runs in. Nats up 3-0 with 2 outs in the bottom of the second. Now getting to the third pick, which I thought was a brilliant move to get. If you're a rookie quarterback, might as well get one of his wide receivers into the game. Mario, I see your question. We're going to talk about the running back situation with the next pick, so don't think I'm skipping over you. Terry McLaurin, a wide receiver. I looked at a little bit of tape on him, and he's has good speed. They say he runs routes very well, and but he only had 761 receiving yards last year. So as a third-round pick, wide receivers in the Redskins really haven't clicked lately. So what is your take on this pick, and what do you think this kid is going to bring to the team and help Haskins in his, development and, working with the playbook, working after practice and stuff with a target that he's familiar with?
I know a lot of people are talking about him pairing with Haskins, and that's great. It is. Whether it's Haskins or Keenum, I think this guy brings an excellent ability to not just, he's a versatile player. He's not just a slot guy. He's not a number one, but he definitely can play the number 2 spot. He has great size, and I know a lot of scouts were high on him because he does have a really good special teams pedigree. But when most scouts looked at him, they said that his tape was average as a wide receiver. And, me looking at the tape, seeing what he was doing at Senior Bowl practice and also in the game, I totally disagree as a wide receiver. I think he runs clean and pristine routes. His ability to make solid blocks in the running passing game it really stands out. It's pronounced when you watch the film on him. And I'll go to the Senior Bowl for an example. He really shined in practice. He had a couple plays. One was against Corey Ballentine, where he kind of shakes him a little bit, causes him to stumble, catches a clean pass in the end zone. And to Ballantine's credit, dude on the next play recovered and act like nothing happened and completely balled out. But that's just a side note. But he made several impressive grabs. He made another one in the corner of the end zone with the receiver draped all over him. And I just think he's totally underrated in his ability to run routes. Another thing you have to like about him is he's a patient route runner. So, some people may say, what do you mean by a patient route runner? Your objective is to run the route as quick as possible to get open so you can get the ball. Well, he allows himself to make these hesitation moves. And we all know what hesitation moves do to defensive backs. And when you're a crisp route runner, it causes them to kind of take a step back and kind of process what you're doing, which gives him separation. And then with his mobility and his footwork, he beats guys really easily in these pressed and stacked coverages. So I really like that. And that type of skill set allows him to be used on the outside and in the inside. And again, there's some things he could work on. He's very comfortable in tracking the ball on vertical routes, especially to his inside shoulder. It's not always consistent with inside routes, inside skinny post routes, things like that. Not always consistent, but he does get that separation. But overall, man, when you look at this guy, I think he's severely underrated. And this team loves guys who can block. And the Redskins have a guy that in McLaren that can block. Not in just the running game, but the passing game. He has great effort and technique. One thing I would like to see him do in that blocking, though, is he needs to set his hips a little better. He needs to get a little bit better leverage. He needs to get those hips a little lower so he can drive and kind of, seal that potential run lane when he's sealing that guy to the outside or to the inside or wherever that may be. But, for his career, he had 75 receptions. 1,251 yards, 19 touchdowns, average 16.7 yards per reception. So, we know how this Jay Gruden offense loves guys who are versatile. And, a guy you can move around the field makes him hard to target and get a beat on. And this can, open up this offense significantly. And they kind of need that. We know Josh Doctson hasn't lived up to his designation as a former first-round pick. So this was a great pickup, not only complimenting him with Haskins, but just an improvement of the overall wide receiver. Gritty guy, guys who's going to get after it, and, he's talented.
Hey, anything to help the offense get consistency and be able to put points on the boards and not start out in the red zone, I'm for it. Then we had a couple of questions about the running back situation with Perrine, Thompson, AP, Geis, and then the team goes and gets Bryce Love out of Stanford. And I understand you said he had injury to his ACL. That is why he dropped. He would have been a higher pick. What's your thoughts on Bryce Love, and what's your thoughts on the running back situation for this team going forward?
First and foremost, I'm going to tell you guys, go type in Bryce Love highlights. Hey, you will see a guy who reminds me. Oh man, he can remind you of a lot of backs who are scat backs, but he's physical and he runs with a purpose. Guy, I've seen a couple of things where you have these little inside runs, these zone runs that we've seen Adrian Peterson have success on. These one-cut runs. This dude sticks his foot in the ground and he accelerates quickly. If he gets to the second level and he passes your linebacker, that safety makes a bad angle, he is gone. had several big breakaway runs, in his career. First of all, characters is 100%. So you want that for your team. Want to be able to gel. He has in my opinion, rare late breakaway speed. And the big thing for him, and we all know this with the Redskins, is he seems to be pretty good in pass protection. We're going to see how he does at the next level. But I think I don't think this is a pick that happens that's going to be right now, that they have to make that decision right now. Does he go on some sort of, pup list and maybe he goes to the practice squad? I don't know. I don't see P-Ron being on this roster, though. I really don't. I know it's a crowded running back deal with the Thompson, Geis, Peterson. But, I know Peterson, we're going to see what happens. What if Peterson gets hurt? I know he did tremendous things and whatnot, but there's always that caveat at his age that he could get hurt. And, the guys like that don't always recover as quickly. You saw Thompson get hurt. They let go of Bibbs, a guy that was just like him. And with Love, you can use him kind of like the Saints use Kamara. And I'm not calling him an Alvin Kamara at all. Not by any means. But his comps have been Dion Lewis. A guy, hard runner, stabs his foot in the ground, gets after it, does well if you ask him to do pass protection, catches balls out of the backfield very well, screens, plays, loud blocks to set up, and then just flat out floors it and gets to the second level. And if you don't get your hands on him, he's found pay dirt. So I like the pick. I know people criticized it because not only was he injured, they picked him pretty high. Most scouts had him around the 5th or 6th round. But let's remember, the Redskins had picks to play with. Okay? So they felt they needed to get that guy before someone else in the division or whatever got him, because he is a good player. We'll see how quickly he recovers and whether he'll be ready, because he did get injured at the end of the season. So I don't expect him to be participating, but don't have any full answers on that. But we'll see. But I don't dislike the pick at all, because again, I love Chris Thompson, but there's things that he's had unfortunate injuries that have kept him out for long periods of time. And when he's in there, we all know what he can do. But if you got another guy like him that you can plug in, boy, you got yourself a pretty nasty tandem, especially with this guy who's definitely electrifying. If he the way he runs and gets to the second level of defenses. So I like the pick.
Definitely. Well, but Chris Thompson, being that he had a broken back in college and was able to excel at the NFL, I look at him as, any given play, it could be his, not wishing nothing bad on him, but his career could be in jeopardy because he, they use him so much. That's why I hate when they run him, off tackle and up the middle. I'm like, let the man get outside and, be elusive. Don't send him in there with them big boys where he can get broken up in there. So you definitely right about having interchangeable pieces, because we saw what Philly did on their run with the interchangeable running backs with the speed game and the wheel routes and the dunk downs and all the different looks that they can do with that. So why not incorporate some of that stuff that, let's be honest, beat the Redskins' ass a couple of times. But next pick was a pick that we were hoping for. Offensive guard out of Indiana, Wes Martin. I don't know much about these guys, but I know you said that he could possibly start it from day one. What is your take on this guy, Dujunnea?
Man, to do your homework, and kudos to Nagy and the Senior Bowl committee for putting these types of things on, because gives these guys another avenue to be able to showcase their talents. And this guy, he's strong, man. He's like country boy, like farm boy. I'm strong. And I think he's a guy that has an opportunity to solidify that guard position and some have comped him to a healthy Sean Laval, and obviously Sean in his younger days was better, in non-injured days was better, but he has everything, the smarts, and has a good understanding of the guard position and plays it very well. The things I saw with him on the film was being able to take on initial blocks, especially in the run game, and sustain them, turn guys to the left or the right to open up that running lane. If there's a chip block initially and then he has to get to the second level, he has the footwork and the foot shuffle to do that, get there with ease without looking sloppy. I think he gets excellent leverage with his guys. Like to see him bend his knees a little bit more. That's the only knock, and I tweeted that out when they drafted him. His athleticism is great. I just would like to see him bend his knees a little bit more. It allows him to get more an anchor, especially in pass blocking, and then he can utilize that strength a little bit better. When you never hardly, I don't think you ever, and in any of the highlights, I didn't see him get like run over by people, and stood up and flattened like we've seen Sean Laval get, pretty often there. But he maintains great technique, very effective, and you have to like that, man. You have to like that. And finally, Bill Callahan has some guys that he can work with, and I think that being that the Redskins have one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, he could really be the linchpin that will help solidify this already talented group. So really like the pick, and they got great value for him, man. I think it was a solid pick right there. Where they picked him up right there in the fourth round, and hey, it's what they needed. They need depth, obviously, because I think that's what hurt them last year, not having quality depth. The year before that is the same thing. Quality depth is very important, because if you don't, you start missing a beat. And if you lose too many guys, or those talented guys on the offensive line, then all of a sudden we start seeing things really break down, because they can't, the two guys on the outside can't compensate enough for the guys on the inside. So, and if you only got your center left that's talented and your two guards are out, as we saw, it can be hellacious for your quarterback and for the entire unit as far as working together, and being that well-oiled machine that can open up holes for your running back and be solid in pass protection.
Agreed 100%. And then after that move, they went and got a center from Alabama, which I know you know about, in SEC country. Now I'm going to try to pronounce his last name. I'm going to give it one shot. Ross Pierschenbacher. Is that right, man? I don't even want to try that again.
Almost. It's Ross Pierschenbacher. Pierschenbacher. The only reason why I know is because I have my Senior Bowl notes, and thank you, Senior Bowl. They give us these hard names, and they actually break them down for us in parentheses, so we know how to pronounce them.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, I sounded out about 10 times, and it came out different each time I said it.
Yeah.
But let's hear about this kid from Alabama from the center position, because I thought Royer or whatever his name is, played pretty decent at center last year. What's this kid bring to the table that might help this offensive line?
I think what most people are missing is, yes, he does play center, and that speaking with the media after he was drafted via conference call, he said I like to think I have started all three interior positions and played at the highest level in college that I am able to play all three. But I think center is my best position. And when you look at the tape, center is his best position, but he played that position the longest. He has the ability to play guard on either side, and we know how much Jay loves versatile guys, and he can play any of those interior spots, left or right guard. I believe he even played a little tackle in his time. So I think really for him, even though center is his best, he's got, again, Bill Callahan, another good quality, high regarded offensive line coach, and he's going to be able to thrive in that. Obviously, you need backups and quality backups at the center. I know they have. They re-signed a couple of guys that they had last year, but this guy's talented, and you have to think so in order to play under Nick Saban and what they like to do as far as the different styles of running and passing. But I thought at that level he has good technique. The one thing about him is it's kind of an explosion when he comes out of his stand. He's very good at outside run plays, and he allows himself to get that first block and then get to the next level. And that's so important, especially we saw what that can do with Adrian Peterson, and for the one play that Geis was able to do before getting hurt. So we see what those things can do for running backs. And as far as the passing game, he's adequate and very mobile and has great foot speed. Sliding is very important, as we all know, in closing gaps and maintaining pass protection. He does that, and he's very sufficient in mirroring rushers. He stays square, and he does a good job of staying square, holding his the point of attack, and being able to take it on those stunning linebackers and not find himself out of position. So, as far as what the Redskins like to do, he's definitely adequate to do that. And like I said, what makes him even more valuable is the fact that he's played three positions on the offensive line, and we know how important that is for this Redskins team and how much Jay and the staff values that. So definitely a great pick. It's one of those picks where I'm still floored that maybe he was still on the board, but once again, this was a draft that was full of guys offensively and defensively that if you use them correctly, they can be not only be a help to you depth-wise, but they can make you look good and keep you going. And I believe he has the ability to not just be a backup, but he could challenge. He could challenge to start. But at the very least, you have a quality guy, a young guy, come in. If somebody goes down, or whatever, he can fill in, and you don't miss a beat. That's important. Not missing a beat, being able to continue that offensive flow so that you can continue to move the ball and score points, because we know how important that was for the Redskins late in the season, and they weren't able to do that. So two offensive linemen right there, quality offensive linemen that you get that's going to help this football team as a whole, depth-wise, and for the future.
Agreed. We got to build an offensive line. I'm still, wondering about the tackle situation. They signed Eric Flowers, but we spoke about that before, that he would probably be, a prime candidate for a guard position. Trent getting up there in age. I don't know how many undrafted, free agents out there, but they got to address the left tackle position pretty soon, because Trent been nicked up the last few years. But we'll talk about that another day. Let's move forward on this draft right now. The next pick was Cole Holcomb, a linebacker out of North Carolina. That's not a team, a school that I'm known hearing linebackers coming out of. So what's this guy Cole Holcomb bring to the table? Is he an inside or outside linebacker?
He's a speedy run and chase linebacker. I think he can play inside. He can play outside, but I think the will is probably his best. And of course, let's not forget, guys, got to have quality guys that are willing to play special teams and do a good job on special teams, and he'll probably contribute there. He has good instincts. He has good eyes, read and reacts very well. And most importantly, he tackles well. He's a rangy guy. He can go sideline to sideline. He's pretty impressive there. that early play recognition is so important because we've seen the Redskins get gashed, especially in the run game, by guys being late. And he does read and react very well, diagnoses that play, gets there really quickly. He's got that ability, that ability to, get out there, tackle guys in space. That's also important. Can't have guys missing tackles when that's your job and they're right there in front of you. He can bring down scrambling quarterbacks. He can spy guys. So I think he's a special teams guy, but he also gives you depth. Again, we can't act like these guys aren't going to contribute in some way, shape, or form on the defense for the simple fact that we've experienced injuries with this team the last several years that have been devastating. So again, another guy that provides you depth. That's an athletic guy, very sound in his play, that can contribute and help you if you need to call on him. And some negatives, his low tackle for a loss percentage for his career. But, really, as long as the guy's making tackles and not allowing guys to get to pay dirt or make big runs, I really could care less. And of course, these guys who are aggressive and athletic, just need to make sure you don't over-pursue and be sound in what you're doing on a consistent basis. That's with young players, that's always a thing because they're eager, they're ready to go, they want to prove themselves, and it's just playing within yourself and doing it the same way you've done it all your career through college, and the reason why you got here. So I think it's a great pick for them. Again, adds depth and special teams help, and again, another player that can really impact this team. So we'll see how it goes in training camp and whether he can leave his mark.
No doubt. Just Steven just said, linebacker core is full, but never can have enough depth and enough players that, like you say, special teams and, that can tackle well. Next up was out of NC State, 2 back-to-back ACC picks, Kelvin Harmon, a wide receiver. They already got one wide receiver in the third round. What does Kelvin Harmon bring to the table that could possibly help this team going forward?
I'm going to tell you right now that this pick probably a steal, and it probably could be one of the biggest steals in the draft. This guy was projected to be by a lot of media pundits to be a day 2 pick, somewhere between 2 and 4. Things that people probably don't like about him is it's not, his tape wasn't like eye-popping. But if you're a guy who's looking at technique and things like that, one thing that you do notice on his tape is that he handles press coverage very well. He reminds me of a Mohamed Sanu, Alshon Jeffrey type guy. You're talking about a 6'2", 221-pound guy. He pays attention to detail when he runs route. And in any type of coverage, what I like about him is he understands his placement, and he's really deceptive on how he runs his pattern, and he sells space very well, which allows him to get the separation that he needs. And most importantly, this guy has stick 'em for hands. Whether it's catches away from the body, those back shoulder throws that the Redskins like to throw without having the receiver to do so, and I know fans hate it in the end zone. They'll be able to do that with this guy. I love the fact that this guy positions himself with his big body, shields that corner, especially against a smaller corner. It's lights out. He telegraphs it very well. He doesn't turn his head too early, doesn't get his hands up too early, doesn't give any indication the ball is there. He goes up at the highest point and snags it down. Kind of what they wanted Josh Stockton to be. He doesn't have. He's not. I don't think he's as slow as Stockton. But in press coverage, I wouldn't. Press man to man, I wouldn't leave him one on one and think that he's not going to beat that guy because he's quick. He's deceptively quick. And most importantly, his hands are good. Another guy who's a good blocker in space. He's a good blocker in the run game. And again, we talked about that with McLaren and how this staff loves to have guys who can block. It's important, man. It springs guys open, whether it's in the pass or running game. It springs guys open. He does a very good job of understanding where he is. He gets that leverage, and he knocks guys out of the way and allows to open up those lanes. So I really like this pick. And again, I thought it was a huge, huge steal, and probably the steal of the draft there. And we'll see what he does in mini camps and at training camp. But this is what this team needed. With those two wide receivers now, you couple that with the Dachshund, Paul Richardson coming back. You got Mr. Irrelevant from last year. And they need those guys because of the losses they took. And I know Maurice Harris didn't play very much, but when he did, and he was given the opportunity to make plays, he made plays. We all know what Jamison Crowder meant, although he couldn't stay on the field in recent years. So that was a little bit of an issue, but still a loss because he was pretty effective when here and when on the field. So you got two guys. You got a guy that really probably should have gone somewhere between 2 and 4, maybe even 5, in the draft, and you get him, right here, almost in the 7th round here, late in the 6th round, and here you are with a guy who has the potential to start for you and make plays. Really like the pick, man, and again, another player that was desperately needed for an offense that really lacked that kind of explosion, that player, that Art Monk type player that you can throw the ball to, and he's going to get his hands on it, and he's not going to go Crisco hands and drop it. He was very, very good in college and catching the football from any area, any standpoint, any catch radius. The guy was raking them in, so I really like the pick.
No doubt, no doubt. We've been grabbing so much great coverage. I forgot that Paul was sitting back on the line. I know he watches more college football than I do. So, Paul, we only got a couple of picks left. Out of the first picks that Dujunnea went over or whatever, you thought was a steal for the Redskins. What is your take on this before we get these last couple of picks for Dujunnea so he can get up out of here and work on some more great articles?
Hey, I'm definitely in on Sweat and Love. I've been watching Love highlights, and man, I tell you what, that dude would be a perfect, heir apparent to Chris Thompson. Hopefully he can stay a little more healthy, but like you said, I don't think he's going to be a major factor this year. Kind of was a little bothered by Darius Geis acting like he had an attitude. I'm like, dude, teams carry more than 2 running backs, right? And you ain't even played it down yet, so you need that help. And also with Sweat, I mean, we still got Reuben Foster back there too, so we seem to be stacking up, the linebacking core, just as much as we stacking up that front four. So I'm happy about that. But I got a question about this cornerback from JMU. I heard some good things about him, and people tend to think because he's from a small school that means he ain't all that. Well, some Hall of Famers come from small schools. I mean, I'm not saying he is Darryl Green by any means, but I mean he came from Texas A&I. So I'm hearing this guy's pretty good, man. I mean, you know anything more about him? I mean, how he ended up at JMU rather than another D1 school, or what do you know about old boy from JMU? I can't remember his name though.
Well, that's actually the next pick we were about to get into, Jimmy Moreland out of JMU, defensive back. So you beat us to the punch, Paul. That was our next perfect segue.
Oh man. I didn't mean to jump the gun.
Hey, it's all good. Perfect segue.
Yeah, this guy is another guy who was at the Senior Bowl, and he showed out. I mean, I know, I get it, down. But this guy was a Jerry Rice Award winner. And he's not ideal size, but the dude has tremendous big playability. He's a stinking ball hawk. 18 interceptions, set the record at his school, and he plays, he plays bigger than his size. He's aggressive. He has an aggressive nature and press coverage, which I think is something that's missing from the Redskins defense, that aggressive nature. He's not afraid, man. And he will get, it's something that I saw at the Senior Bowl. This guy will get aggressive. He will make a play, and he is not afraid to let you know that you just got locked down by a smaller corner. He has a physical, not just a presence, but his attitude is a battler, and you have to love that about him. He has great footwork, and I think one of the things with these corners that they don't pay enough attention to is their technique in their footwork. His footwork is good enough and allows him to be tenacious and accurate in his initial jam skills right off the snap. So when you have that good technique, now your coverage abilities and all of that, he does that with fluidity. His speed, he holds up and does great in the trail position and that trail technique. And, the interceptions speak for itself. He had 63 passes defended in his career, 208 tackles, one forced fumble. He had 6 fumble recoveries, and that's not including the work that he did on special teams. But, from the tape to what I saw at the Senior Bowl, and I'm going to give props to my guy, NBC Sports Washington, Pete. He wrote a song in his title. He's right.
You're starting to break up a little bit, Dujunnea. You're starting to break up a little bit when you started talking about the article.
What I was saying is that Pete over at the NBC Sports, Pete Haley over at NBC Sports Washington, give him a shout out. His title was Ball Hawk on the article he did about Moreland, and he's right. He's a ball hawk. And he's a versatile corner. And again, you may not like his size, but you have to like his scrappiness, his vert. Dude can get up, man. And he makes plays, and that's what you need in a secondary. And I think he'll be a guy that not only will contribute with special teams, being that he has 6 career special teams blocks. He'll be a guy that can compete inside. I would probably use him inside in the slot, being that he is aggressive, and that's been the little area where it seems like the Redskins have taken a little bit of a hit as far as getting beat regular on third and must-haves, to stop them from getting first downs in the passing situation. And that's not taking nothing away from Fabian or anybody else. I just like his ability, but we'll see what he can do. I mean, he's going to have to earn his spot, obviously. There's a lot of guys that are there, but I think that's why the Redskins took him. A scrappy guy, and you love scrappiness, man, especially with your corners. That's infectious, man. When you got one guy scrappy, that might incite Josh Norman and these other guys to step their game up. So I love the scrappiness, and then it makes your receivers better when they have to go against that guy in practice, because he's gonna piss them off. So I love it. And a great pick. Got balled, man. He balled at the Senior Bowl, and he proved it from a small school. He balled, man. So gotta love it.
Yeah, Kevin mentioned Bruce Smith went to JMU. Mario said Darrelle Revis was 5'11". I'm not even going to get on the Revis thing. I felt he was overrated. When your defense blitzes 85% of the time, any corner can be stellar. But when you go elsewhere and you don't have that blitzing capability, that's when you see when Revis Islands turned into, never mind, I'm not even going to go there. But size does matter, but size doesn't matter when you have the heart and the will to compete, and that's what is lacking, I feel, in some of these modern-day athletes nowadays, that they want to live the NFL lifestyle but don't want to put in the NFL work or, put in the dedication, the film work to learn how to be a better athlete. Since you made it to the big time, you want to try to excel, not just be happy you made it. So it's good that it sounds like the team has some of those players on their roster right now. And to round out the 2019 draft class for the Redskins, they drafted out of Oklahoma State Jordan Bradford, another linebacker. Is he an inside or outside guy? And what does he want to bring to the table? He just might be a special teams ad, or he can definitely bring something to this team and be a steal at the 7th round.
I think he's a depth guy. He's an edge rusher, and he gives a lot of effort. He's a disruptive guy. Has that disruptive presence. And the thing you like about him is he has a non-quit. They use that word motor, but basically he doesn't quit. Has that burst that you need coming off the line. You love the things that he does as far as reading those zone read offenses. He does a good job with that, making the right read, making the right tackle. He's successful with those cross blockers coming across with face. Does a good job not getting tangled up or getting fouled up there. And he's a hard upfield push rusher. With those first 3 steps, man, he's quick, and that's really where it's at. You got to get off the line first, and got to get those offensive linemen in that backpedal motion. And again, another guy who can be a backup at that middle linebacker position. He could play edge, middle linebacker, whatever, but he's also has value for that special teams. And again, cannot understate the importance of having quality guys on special teams. That were Hogs for Washington on that special teams, unit, and they go to other teams, and you don't have anybody to replace them. And then you got guys that should be beating you for 6 on punt returns and kick returns, getting easy lanes, going, 80, 90 yards for touchdowns because, you either poor tackling, poor lane responsibility, getting mauled over and bottled up and grabbed by the opposing team's blockers, things like that. And he does a good job with that. So these guys are super important to kind of round out your roster and give you guys that not only, because we know how important offense is in football, got to score, but when special teams is called upon, you want them to be on point as well, pinning your guys back, making secure tackles, and then on the opposite side of that, making good blocks and doing what they have to do to give your punt returner or kick returner an opportunity to give you good field position. So I like what they did there. Again, it's another guy that's a quick guy, brings a little quickness, a little tenacity to the team to add to what they already have and kind of give you that depth that you need, that depth with speed, most importantly, in that linebacking core because in this day and age, man, these tight ends are like oversized baby Huey wide receivers now with speed. So you got to have linebackers that can go sideline to sideline. You can't have these slugs at linebacker, and you can't have a unit full of slugs, or you'll get smoked by running backs and tight ends of this era of NFL players. So I like the pick, and again, man, they had like 10 picks. So some of these things are. You like a guy, and you want to see what you can get out of him and see what he does, and maybe you put him on your practice squad. Maybe he does make your roster. I like what they did overall with the draft.
I definitely agree. There was some great breakdown. Jerome said he think the defense is only concern. I forgot they even picked up DRC. Is it official that he's going to be playing safety? Now that they didn't picked up Landon Collins, is it definitely that Rogers Cromartie is going to be playing safety for the Skins next year?
I'm sorry, come back with that again.
with DRC, Rogers Cromartie. I forgot that they even signed him early in the offseason, and with them signing Landon Collins, Jerome made a comment that he think that we're okay on defense. His only concern is having DRC at safety. Is it verified that he's going to be playing safety, and how is that going to work out? Do you think he's going to be the free, or I totally forgot he was even on the roster.
I've heard nothing about him playing safety. Again, I think they've got several guys that can play that safety position. I think he's still at the cornerback position. He very well. I mean, let's not forget what they did with Orlando Scandrick here. They brought him in. Obviously, they thought they had better corners, which they did. I like Scandrick, but they had guys that were better than him. It showed, and they ended up cutting him. And I think that does DRC get cut? I don't know, maybe, but I have not heard anything about him playing safety at all, and I don't feel that they have to. But again, there is a question with, I believe it is Nicholson in that situation there. So we'll see how that comes to fruition and what happens. But I mean, don't forget about this Shazer Everett. A solid guy and is better suited on that side instead of playing where Landon Collins will be. He does better over there. So don't forget about that guy. He's a guy that my colleague Diane Cheeseboro has been high on for several years, and rightfully so. The guy balls out, understands his position on the field, and when he plays in that spot, he does a lot better than being in the spot that Landon Collins is in right now. So I like him as well. And they've got a couple other guys. I think we'll see what Troy Apke can do as well. So we'll see. But I haven't heard anything about that. And if I do, I'll be sure to let you go, Jerome. Good question. And real quick, man, big shout out to Rev T, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate the open invite, man. Appreciate it. And participation here with the so thanks a lot, bro.
No doubt. Rev T always a good guy for the show. Make sure you check out his show every day. He puts his video out. Make sure you go follow Rev T. He always does a great job of shouting us out. Robbie calls into his show all the time. I try to call in when I can, but you know how it is doing all the stuff that we doing right now. But one more quick question before I let you get out of here, Dujunnea. Greg wanted to update on some of the injured players. If you might have heard anything about Trent Williams, Chris Thompson, Jordan Reed, Dunbar, anything you heard about being ready to go for training camp, or any setbacks or anything?
I think you guys heard about the little thing with Trent, but he's going to be okay. I'm gonna put this to rest right now, and I think Geis put that to rest as well. There is no setbacks with Geis. I don't know where Schefter's getting his information from, but I like Schefter more than I like Rap Sheet, but when it comes down to Redskins information, sometimes they are a little bit the same guy. So, guys quickly sent out a kind of a smart aleck tweet to refute that. And if you guys are paying attention to guys, you see what he's doing in the gym. You see what he's doing out there on the practice field, running very well, looking very good. So there's no setbacks. This guy should be more than ready. Chris Thompson's also in there working hard. Should be ready as well. I have not heard of any setbacks for him. I haven't really heard anything about Sheriff or anybody like that. But I would assume that they'll bring them along the way they need to be, and whether they're ready for training camp or middle of training camp, those guys should be ready. The only person that we all know that's not going to be ready is unfortunately Alex Smith. So everybody else, unless barring something happening between now and then and during the mini camps and whatnot, in OTAs, then everybody should be ready to go come time. And even Morgan Moses, hopefully he's doing better, but haven't heard any negative about him, so he should be ready to go as well, and hopefully be in better shape than he was last year, because I don't know if people really know what he was going through all season. The guy once again battling hurt and battled through it to play the full season. So hopefully he'll be healthier this year and be able to play to his full potential without having these nagging ailments.
Man, I told you how I feel about Morgan Moses, man. I think his wife be abusing him at home because that's the only dude I know that be having like 6, 7, 8 injuries throughout the whole season. And you be like, when did he get hurt? You never saw him go down. But somehow he get hurt, man. I think he might be in an abusive relationship, man, because it's his heel, it's his ankle, it's his calf. I don't know, man. I don't know about that, man. But just making some jokes. You know, there's nothing funny about abuse, but, you know, just thought I'd lighten the mood real quick at the end of the show. Dujunnea, let the folks know where they can find you at. I know you got some more articles to put out, and appreciate all the great content. Oh, one more quick question. Yeah, I was wondering, what position does Landon Collins play? Is he the free or the strong? I'm not even sure.
He's going to be right in the same position where, daggone it, just because I'm thinking of him, and DJ Swearinger was at.
Oh, okay.
So he'll be right where in DJ Swearinger's spot, you know, that's going to be good because he does play well at the line of scrimmage. But don't let these analysts and these media pundits tell you that he's just strictly a box safety, okay? Because you don't get INTs by being a box safety. And, yeah, okay, so he doesn't have all these INTs. But you know what? They ain't throwing his way either. So, you know, let that sink in.
I know that's right.
He'll be playing Swearinger's spot, and that's going to be good for him. And if they use him the way that they use Swearinger, you saw all the picks DJ got early in the season with that front line being healthy. And with the depth they have now, should be pretty fun to watch. And I would suspect that he would get a few of those INTs. And you know that boy's going to work hard because he feels like he's got Sean Taylor on his back right now, and he's got something to prove. And he wants to live up to that. So I like where he's going to be. That doesn't mean they don't interchange these guys because I feel like they can. Will that be all the time? No. I think it's all situational. If you watch what Greg Minunsky does, you know, there's a lot of situational things and a lot of things they do in moving guys around to create matchup problems for the offensive line and kind of give people a different look. But that's where you're going to see Landon Collins mostly.
Great. That's definitely good to hear because, yeah, Swearinger was balling out at the beginning of the season with all them INTs and good coverage. And, you know, hopefully their team can stay healthy and we can hopefully, you know, not go through that going 6-3 and then going, I don't even want to talk about the rest of it. But, yeah, health is definitely going to be a key. But this was definitely a good draft, especially from everything that you've talked about with these players that they picked up. Sound like they're hungry and they're going to definitely improve this team and this roster. But I'll let you go ahead and get up out of here. Let the folks know where they can find you at and whatever articles will be dropping soon because I'll be sharing your articles you done put out already tomorrow off Sports on the Hill podcast page.
Well, we got 2 already up. It's SportsJourney.com is where you can find all the work. You can follow me at NotBland21 on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm selective, but you know, you're a good participant of this show. I'll give you an inside look, close inside look to my life there on Instagram and whatnot. But yeah, got those 2 articles up about about Sweat and about Wes Martin. Going to have several more articles about these draft picks explaining what they bring to this team and what potentially they can do for this team. So we'll be working on that all off season, and of course bringing you all the good stuff that's going to be going on at Redskins Park. So stay tuned to all of us over there at Sports Journey.
No doubt. Well, I appreciate your time as always. Appreciate your knowledge and insight. I'll let you get to it so you can work on some more articles and hopefully get a little bit of chill since the draft is finally over and can get a little bit of breather before everything picks up for training camp and everything.
Yes, sir, man. It was a lot of fun tonight. Thank you, and thank the SportsOTHP fans for the participation and the great questions, man. Thank you.
No doubt. I always love it. But you have a good night, bro, and I'll holler at you later on.
You too, man. Later.
All right, that was a great segment. Appreciate all the participation. Like you said, Redskins is our core audience, so I know that y'all Love getting the insight that we bring because the other DC sports media is a joke. I done called them out several times before. I done did it before. I'm going to do it again. You know, folks tuning in to us for their sports coverage. They not tuning in to, you know, the Fan or this other crap that they got going on out here. They tune in to Sports on the Hill podcast on True Radio Network every Monday night and every other Thursday for their DC sports coverage and sports in general. So I appreciate it as always. Make sure you go check out SportsOTHP.com for all of our shows archived, all of our videos, Facebook Lives, our WLVS show on Wednesday nights, True Radio. We cover sports, politics, current events, entertainment. We cover it all. So make sure you tune in this Wednesday. Coming to you live from WLVS Radio at Listen Vision Studio down in Georgia Avenue in D.C. No telling what else we might have coming out this week. You know, we've been putting out some good content. Appreciate all the engagement from all the Redskins fans on the posts we've been putting out, sharing it, liking it, you know, checking out our videos that I've been making. So I appreciate that as always. And appreciate it, Troy, David, Steven, all of y'all that tuned in, Jerome, appreciate it. Y'all make sure y'all tune in again. Y'all going to be seeing so much more Redskins stuff coming out. I'm working on some other things, trying to get set up for the season. See if we can do a away game, you know, meet and greet every away game, have a little venue that we meet up at, Sports on the Hill podcast, broadcast live from down there. You know how it is. We're going to be expanding. We're going to be making moves. That's what we do. But make sure you go follow the page. Make sure you go check out the YouTube channel. Carol Porter III, that's with 3 eyes, not the number 3. For all the highlight videos, Facebook Live simulcast that we do that you're watching right now, it'll be up on the page tonight, tomorrow at the latest. Make sure you go check out SportsOTHP.com, True Radio Network, Jet Radio. Give a shout out to Jay Legend. He ain't come on this time, but I know he's probably busy doing something. I'm going to holler at you, Jay. Y'all have a good night. I'm going to end this Facebook Live feed now, and I keep y'all posted on whatever else is going on Sports on the Hill podcast, because DC sports without the politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. And I appreciate y'all love and support.